Today, we are diving deep into the world of Greek life at UC Berkeley, but maybe not in the way you'd expect. We managed to get our hands on a pretty detailed recruitment guide for one specific fraternity chapter, so what we're going to do is unpack it, almost like it's a luxury brand, to really understand its culture, its history, and what it's actually like to be on the inside.
Right from the get-go, the guide sets a super specific tone. This is not about what you see in the movies. No red cups and crazy parties. The words they choose here, house-proud, deep roots, and especially polish over spectacle, that tells you everything. We're looking at an organization that thinks of itself as this really carefully curated institution. In this quote, this just nails the whole idea. The guide literally frames joining the fraternity not as just an experience, but as a kind of purchase. You're not just signing up for a social calendar. You are investing in a product that offers pedigree, discretion, and continuity. So, for this explainer, we're going to follow their lead and break this fraternity down just like that, as a heritage brand.
Okay, so every great brand has an origin story, right? A foundation. So let's start there. Let's look at the history, the pillars that give this chapter its really unique identity, and frankly, its prestige. What's pretty amazing here is how the chapter's history is all tied up with actual famous landmarks and people. First, the house itself. It's not just some building. It's a 1909 architectural masterpiece. Then, the original club from 1912 had a future U.S. Chief Justice as a member. And then, in 1942, the two combined. This isn't just a backstory, it's a carefully crafted lineage that is the absolute bedrock of their brand. So that's the backstory, and it's a powerful one. But what's the user experience? What's it actually like to live there day to day? Let's see how all this history and prestige actually translates into the life of a member. Well, the guide actually tries to quantify this with a few scores. The first one is the stereotypical frat lifestyle score, and they give it a 54 out of 100. That number kind of suggests a very deliberate balance. You get the social life, the formals, the mixers, but it's not the constant chaos you might imagine. It's like a social life with guardrails. Next up, we've got the chance of hooking up score, which is almost identical at 53 out of 100. And the little note that goes with this in the guide is key. It basically says that at a school like Cal, your personal polish matters way more than just what fraternity letters you're wearing. The brand might get you in the door, but it's not going to do the work for you. So it all boils down to this trade-off. What's the upside? Your GPA and your resume will probably make it through the 4 years just fine. It's a low-drama kind of place. The downside? Well, if you're looking for that non-stop movie-style party scene, this probably isn't it. The value proposition is crystal clear. Composure over chaos. Okay, now we're getting to what is, without a doubt, the most unique and honestly provocative part of this whole guide. The people who wrote this actually tried to measure something that feels totally abstract, the bond between brothers. It's a wild question, isn't it? We usually think of brotherhood as this vibe, this feeling you can't really put your finger on. But this guide says, nope, we're going to try. They try to break it all down and put it on a scale. So, how in the world do they do it? They call it the homoerotic level. Now, it is really important to understand what they mean by this term. They define it as a scale of physical and emotional comfort. It's a spectrum that goes from just being transactional roommates on one end, all the way to having full-on romantic relationships on the other. And here's the scale itself. You can see at the low end, levels 1 to 3, it's pretty much just being roommates. Level 4 is what they call the bromance tier. You've got real emotional support there. Level 5 is where physical comfort is just normal. Level 6 gets more rowdy and performative, and then 7 through 10 moves into explicit relationships. So, the big reveal. Where does this chapter put itself on this pretty wild scale? They give themselves a 5 out of 10, right in the middle. So let's unpack what a level 5 actually means here. According to the guide, a level 5 is the sweet spot. It's adult comfort, not performance. It's about being comfortable in your own skin and around your brothers, for things like just hanging out without shirts on in the summer or fixing someone's tie before a formal. The guide even suggests that because the house is a historic landmark, it kind of keeps the vibe in this comfortable, warm zone instead of letting it get too crazy. Okay, so let's shift gears and talk about the long game. Because a huge piece of the puzzle for any fraternity is the network you get after you graduate. What's the return on investment for this specific chapter? The guide scores it a 67 out of 100, which is pretty solid. This suggests a really effective, high-quality network. But there's a big catch. It's not automatic. The guide says it opens high-quality doors if you do the prep. Basically, the network gives you the opportunity, but you're the one who still has to earn it.
And this is where that network is supposedly the strongest. We're talking about those traditional high-stakes career paths: law, finance, policy, medicine. These are all fields where a warm introduction or a trusted recommendation can make a world of difference. It's a very specific kind of social capital.
All right, so we've looked at the brand, the experience, and the long-term payoff. This final section is the most practical. It's the playbook. This is the how-to guide for anyone who actually wants to join.
I mean, they literally give you a template for your 30-second elevator pitch. It is super structured. Who you are, what you do, what you want, and, this is the most important part, what you bring to the table. The message is clear. Don't just ask to get in. Explain the value you're going to add from day one.
The guide even preps you for interview questions they know you're going to get, and one of the biggest ones gets right to the heart of the house's entire brand. What does the word discretion actually mean in this house?
And the model answer they provide is just incredibly self-aware. It's about protecting each other's reputations, handling problems before they get big, and not turning your private life into social media content. That last line just says it all. Trust is the brand. That shows you the level of maturity they are looking for.
So the whole playbook kind of boils down to this simple chart. The green flags, they're all about being professional and willing to contribute. Send a thank you note, ask smart questions, help clean up. The red flags are the exact opposite. Bragging about partying, talking trash about other frats, treating members like they're just gatekeepers. It's a very clear roadmap for showing you get the culture.
And so, after everything, the guide's final score for the chapter is a 60 out of 100. Look, it's not a perfect score, but it's not supposed to be. It reflects an organization with huge upsides in its history and its network, but it's not trying to be for everyone. It's a specific product for a specific kind of person. Which brings us to a final thought. This whole deep dive is really built around one central theme: composure, heritage, and more than anything, discretion. So it leaves us with a bigger question to think about. In our world today, a world that so often rewards hype and being loud, what is the actual value of an old-fashioned idea like discretion? Definitely something to chew on.